Stuff and things. That's good. Right. Okay. I suppose I might as well start the game as well. You know. It's alright. Yeah, we'll just get that going. Okay. So, is it? Oh, is the car starting? Is it? Maybe. Possibly.
Yeah.
It's thinking about it. Go on.
This is joining a campaign game.
Yeah, I'm in the broadcast on Twitch. It really likes to think about it. Like, I swear, the old servers over at Twitch got a crank handle in them or something. But yeah, we seem to be going. Awesome. So yes, for those of you that don't know, I'm here doing a lovely interviewee, conversation-y, playing games type thing that I don't think there's actually a proper name for, with MegaRan, Random, which way do you prefer being called now? Because you were Random originally and moved to MegaRan, but still occasionally Random.
Yes, I'm still occasionally Random. It's just become a really hard thing to keep up with, I understand, but you know, what's in the name? Apparently a lot. So I've just had a lot more trouble, I guess, standing out as the name Random. I feel like there's a lot of other musicians that carry that name, and therefore we all get mixed up. We get twisted into the same iTunes folders. We get put into the same Spotify categories. We get put into the same touring dates categories on different websites.
Gotcha.
And so it gets confusing. I actually had a friend, and this was in the UK. I think it was in Manchester. A friend went and saw that a club called the Ritz in Manchester decided to name one of their club nights Random, and they thought it was me playing that night, and so they went to this club and paid like £20 to get in, and they're like, no, there's no Random, aka MegaRan here. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. And they wouldn't refund them, and they sent me a message. So I sent the scheduling people a message. I sent the club a message. Like, something's got to be done. You got to change your name.
Yeah, that's it.
So, yeah, I was like, you just have to change the name of your club night. That's all to it. So I've had a lot of confusion come down for it. So I did one project called MegaRan, and from there people just began calling me MegaRan. And I feel like the best names aren't made up; they're kind of given to you, I think. And you know, names that stick with people are just given. And so people started calling me MegaRan, and so I ran with it. And but yet there's still an existing category or catalog of music of mine under the name Random. So I feel like Random, aka MegaRan, is the best way to keep all that stuff together. But for the future, for 2014 and beyond, I'm going to try my best to only go by MegaRan under all releases, just to keep everything uniform in some way.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, you know, you don't want to be getting too confused. Oh, so you finally loaded in. Wow.
Took a little while.
Great Mac you got there. No, we're not going to go there. We're not going to start that war. You do media production. I'm not going to argue with it. It makes sense.
It does.
So, okay, I think we're good to go. So yeah, let's actually start and go ahead and kill some things. But yeah, so. Oh, have you got a grasp on the controls?
I'm getting there. I gotta figure out how to turn this music down. It's so loud.
If you press escape or whatever your equivalent is.
Okay.
And then
there we
options.
go. Just gotta get my audio down. They're shooting all in one ear and you talking to the other.
That's right. You don't listen to me anyway. It's fine. But
Alright.
But yeah, I mean, what I was going to do is kind of go back through some of kind of your past a little bit to kind of give some people an idea of where you started out, because obviously you've been in the, well, doing what you're doing to some degree or another for what, the best part of eight years? Are we looking 2006?
Wow. Would you say? Yeah, 2006 is when music started for me as a thing, you know. But it was definitely it was 2006, early 2006. My first release called The Call came out, and from there I would figure that was when I began, or could call myself a definite, serious, full-time musician. But and that was when it started.
Yeah. So I mean, myself, I've been aware of you for a considerably shorter amount of time, just due to me being ignorant of music, I suppose, but and not being based in the US.
Being under a rock for a long time. No.
Yeah, but I mean, obviously you've got a fair chunk of success based around your Black Materia work, which was your Final Fantasy VII remix based stuff. That was 2011, I believe, or that was around there. Because obviously you were hitting top of Reddit, absolutely exploding here, there, and everywhere. Everyone wanted a piece of you as far as games news was concerned, or so it seemed. So, how was the adjustment for that? Because obviously before then you'd done an album based around MegaRan, which perhaps did that get as much? Well, probably not quite as much, but how much attention did that gain you?
I mean, it definitely got me a lot of attention, but I felt like it would, and every time I think something hits kind of a critical mass or gets as high as it can possibly get, then something, it seemed like the next project was even like trumping that. So it all started with the MegaRan projects, and with having Capcom support, that was so huge, and with them being involved, we got a lot done, as far as getting the name out there. But I probably didn't know as much about, internet marketing or fleeting internet celebrity and the things. I didn't know as much about that stuff then as I do now. So it seems like as releases came about, I just knew more about how to release an album, how to get people interested in it, how to promote it and things like that. And so therefore the albums got bigger as I learned more. So,
of course.
So yeah, I felt like after MegaRan was an album called Forever Famicom.
Yes.
And that was 2010, and again, that was, to me, I thought that was as big as this could get, because it was here we had a hip hop album that contained video game backing tracks and was produced by K Murdoch, who was a very, very well known and respected hip hop producer. So I thought, like, this is the album that's going to bring legitimacy to whatever this is that I make, whatever they want to call it. So I was very excited about that, and I really thought that was, as far as it could go. I went to South by Southwest. We went to E3, did a couple of video game events, and got some interviews and some coverage on some game sites. I remember 1UP and IGN being very supportive. But yeah, and then Black Materia comes about, and the explosion is just, the splash damage on it is just critical, so it just turned into something that I never thought it could be, and it all started with the Reddit thing. But yeah, I was just a mild-mannered teacher by day, and when that happened, and that was the beginning, I think, of kind of building a name and building a bit of a foundation for what I have here. And it was all Black Materia, I would say. I definitely have to thank that for getting me pretty close to where I am now. It was the one starting point, the jump off point, that was the most helpful.
Yeah, I mean, where did that kind of fall in with, because obviously, you were teaching throughout, some of your success with your work. What was kind of the turning point? Was it Black Materia, or was it slightly earlier that you decided, screw it, like, this is going to be a full-time thing?
Yeah, it was definitely Black Materia. Well, I think it was just a combination of everything catching on and catching up to people at the same time. And so it turned out that Black Materia was the turning point. But I guess it was something that was in the works for quite a while, And it was in the works for a very long time. I didn't just take Black Materia and say, oh, this works, all right, I'm doing this full time and I'm gonna make Black Materia Part 2 or something.
Yeah, of course.
But in Part 3, and up and so forth. But oh gosh, my computer just froze. But But yeah, I feel like that it definitely was the cherry on top. You know, I felt like if the rest of my career was ice cream, it was the cherry on top was Black Materia, and that cemented what I do. And I feel like I put so much time into it that it was the album that I felt most proud of, and that most ready to be seen, you know, by the entire world. You know, I feel like this was the album that I wanted everyone to notice. And so there it was. It was that album. And I had it was crazy, but I think it was maybe 3-4 months after that album, I wound up quitting my job and making music full time. Wow. So since then, it's been the wacky world of unpredictable, life as a musician.
Yeah, well, that's it, well, I mean, saying that, you're starting your new tour tomorrow? Or day after? I know it's close.
Just about, yeah. I'm actually flying out tonight to
Philadelphia.
The first event is called the Too Many Games Fest, and right outside of Philadelphia, and that goes on Saturday and Sunday. But I will be playing, I think, Sunday, but I'll be up there both days.
Gotcha. So yeah, that's and that's going to be based around. Well, I saw that you posted up on some social media today about the sort of special preview gift that you're going to be giving out, dishing out people.
Yes. Yeah, I was home for a lot of time this particular time between tours. I was at home probably longer than I normally ever am. Mm-hmm. So that gives me a lot of time to think, and it gives me a lot of time to record.
Of course.
So I started working on some new music that I really liked. I completed the better part of probably two, maybe even 3 albums worth of material. And I felt like all of it's not going to come out, but I figured some of it should. And so what I wanted to do was do something special, just to give someone a bit more of an inspiration or a reason that if they were on the fence about coming out to the shows, mm-hmm. this should take them over the top. It's an album that's only going to be available on the road. This isn't like the the EA exclusive talk that eventually becomes not so exclusive or something like that.
Yeah, of course.
But no, this is an exclusive thing that's only created just for the road. It's a preview edition of an album called Trap 2, which is a follow-up to an album that I created last summer around this same time. Mm-hmm. And it was a free album I put out online. That was basically just me speaking on a lot of things that were currently on my mind and just putting them to music, but not just any music, but just music that I felt was current as far as hip-hop's production trend itself. Yeah. So the music's a little more clean and polished than people would expect from me. Normally, it's a very underground DIY sound, and I love that sound. But as a student of music and culture, I feel like it's important to know what's going on, and I'm really proud of what we created. I think it's something that will turn a lot of heads, and but only a few heads, because only the people that are there. But I'm sure it'll wind up on your friendly neighborhood torrent at some point.
Of course, as things inevitably do,
I'm sure, and I'm okay with that. But the actual CDs are very limited, and they won't be available for everyone. So it's something that you should definitely take advantage of if you're in the area or vicinity of any of these shows. Come on through, and I can guarantee you're going to have a great time. It's going to be a great show, and you get a bonus keepsake. It's not just coming out for a show or hearing the music you've always been hearing, but I'm going to play some new songs from it, and I'm going to allow you to take home part of that experience. So yeah, I'm going to sign and number each one and make it a very personalized experience for the folks who can come out. So yeah, awesome. I feel like at this stage of our careers as musicians, or even at this stage of music in general, everyone's touring, and it's mainly because, I don't know how it is necessarily in the UK, but out in the States, everyone's touring. All the big musicians are on the road constantly. It's like, go and see Beyonce. Like, and then next month it's Beyonce again. You know, it's
Yeah,
like
they can't get
even
away from it.
the big, even the big names. I mean, it's just the fact that music isn't selling, and therefore it's creating a need for much more touring, which unfortunately I think will kill a lot of the festivals that go on. Eventually, I feel like it'll kind of weaken those festivals
because you can just go and see them on another leg of their tour.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So it's not as big of a deal or as exciting to see an artist when they're touring every 6 months. So I feel like if we create some sort of incentive and make it more fun for people and more personalized and different, then I think it would, it'll get people still excited about it. So that's what I'm doing now. I'm working on making it an exciting, once in a lifetime thing, and that's what this is all about. Because, I don't want people to say, oh, well, I'll just see MegaRan the next time he tours through. I'm like, well, maybe you can, but you won't see this MegaRan.
Yeah, it's not the same set of material.
Album, you won't get this material. So eventually, I want to branch that idea out into like an entire Black Materia tour. So I've been in talks with a lot of folks. I want to do that with a band, and I want to try to get this tour to go everywhere, like all over the world, and so that we could play just the Black Materia stuff for people who want to hear that. Because part of the problem with being Random, aka MegaRan, is that some folks want to see Random, some folks want to see MegaRan. And,
yeah, I guess. Yeah.
It's like a split personality.
Side, yeah.
Which is weird, but I feel like I haven't done as well as I'd like in merging them and making sure that Random and MegaRan can come together and create a song. And I feel like that's kind of what the trap stuff is. It's a little bit of a combination of Random and MegaRan. Particularly the new single, I think that's the best example I can give of Random meets MegaRan.
Oh, don't.
Infinite Lives track.
I played it pretty much non-stop, and I don't care if that's me fanboying or whatever. Like, that is just some disgustingly catchy track, and I have no qualms about saying that.
Oh man,
absolutely amazing.
That. I'm really proud of the way the song came out. I think it's a message that everyone can relate to, and it's done in such a fun way, and with the backing track being it's actually from an old Game Boy game, RoboCop for Game Boy.
Shit, I knew I recognized it. Like, I knew the sound,
It's a classic theme. It doesn't sound like anything that would belong in a RoboCop.
No, not really. It's shooting people in the face, jolly tune,
RoboCop's very gritty, and then it's like this, this all happy, and it's and so I guess the juxtaposition of it is what made it special for me. And so I remember hearing that because I love the RoboCop game for Game Boy, and turns out in the chip community that's actually a very well-known track. Like a lot of people in the chiptune community are very familiar with that track, and they it's been used on, I guess, what could be called a viral video in the chip community. And so therefore, everyone that's affiliated with chiptunes and knows anything about it, they've heard the song a million times, the beat anyway.
Yeah.
So for that reason, and I didn't even know that when I created it, but just doing some research afterwards, I was like, oh, well, that's even better. It's something that's familiar to some people, which is showing a bit of an homage to not just to Game Boy music, to chiptune music, but also to the nerd music community. And that's always what I've been about, just paying tribute and things like that. So I'm really excited, and the song's been getting great feedback. I thank you so much for playing it so many times and telling folks about it, because and I got to shout out D&D Sluggers, Tim White, who's on that song singing, and who's actually going to be on tour with me. So he and I will be playing that song every single night of the tour. Until people get tired of it.
I can see that being a while. Just to roll back over a couple of things that have popped up in the chat that we've got going as well. We've got Half Empty Energy Tank here saying that they're going to be seeing you in Chapel Hill with D&D Sluggers and Sky Blue. They seem pretty hyped, and I can't blame them. And rolling back to talking about being worried about festivals suffering because of different artists just touring constantly. That same guy is asking, are you worried about MagFest at all because of that, or are you talking less specifically about music festivals as a whole?
Yeah, it's much less specific. I was thinking, I guess, the bigger music festivals, because even the bigger artists are doing it, and I feel like they're kind of taking the indie artist model, and which is going to eventually leave a little less for us, because everyone's doing the same thing. So if everyone's on the road, now, instead of me having to compete with, maybe another indie rock band playing across town, I may have to compete with Jay-Z playing, across town, and I feel like that's what's happened to things like South by Southwest.
Gotcha.
or things like that, like the bigger music festivals, CMJs and the North by Northeast, and so many of the other events that go on. Bigger acts are involved as well as independent acts, and it makes it harder for people to gain new fans, I guess is what I was worried about. I don't know if MagFest per se is something that would fall under that, because so many of those acts, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think a lot of those acts only play at MagFest. A lot of those guys get together. I know Metroid Metal is like a super band, so therefore they're all in different bands, and they only come together for big shows.
Gotcha.
So things like that happen a lot at MagFest. So you're able to see a lot of only, once in a lifetime or twice in a lifetime events where people only come together for that event. So it's really awesome for that. And I don't think that'll be affected by that. I worry about that about myself. Sometimes I worry about spreading myself too thin, which is why I try to always create new material, and I'm always thinking about new concepts and new things to explore, because I never want to just repeat the same formula over and over again. But then I get to a show and people just want to hear the old stuff, so it's perfect.
Yeah, I suppose it can kind of work both ways with that, you want to push forward, you want to progress, but at the same time, I suppose you got to get the admission paid on the door.
Man, I got 17 new songs. I can't wait till you hear this. And they're like, I want to hear Grow Up, which is the very first MegaRan song I've ever created. and I think people would totally be happy with me just playing that song over and over again. And I love it. I love Grow Up. I love Splash Woman. And there's so many other songs that I do love. But at the same time, I feel like I just want to take it to another, just try to show them something else. So even if I do the same songs, I always add some sort of different twist to the song.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I learned that lesson from MC Chris, actually. It was touring with MC Chris that showed me that. He's played a song called Fet's Vet for probably the past 10 years. And, it's a song that made him famous. And so, therefore, he can't do a show without someone asking for that. So he knows he has to do it, and he probably hates doing it. But each time he'll do it to a different track. Or every tour he does a different mashup, a different remix version. So it's a different speed, it's a different feel. And so it's new to him, and it's new to the people who have been hearing it for 10 years,
Yeah, and again, back to what you were saying before, really, it's also providing that, well, you got to catch them on this tour sort of vibe. You're not going to have that same experience if you go next year, or if you haven't caught them this time through and you just catch the recording or whatever. It's never going to be that same track, because it's always fresh, it's always new, it's always changing.
Absolutely.
Which I quite like.
I mean, some things just work, and they work so well that you want to keep repeating them, and I feel like that's what a lot of probably mainstream artists feel. You do something and it works, they're like, well, let's just do it again, and it's easy to fall into that trap, but I feel like the music will never progress, and more importantly, the scene won't progress if you're not thinking, or at least attempting to work something new into it, because eventually, those crowds will shrink, and and what are you gonna do then? It's a weird thing that I guess every artist has to think about, but at some point, the crowds are going to get smaller, and you got to figure out how to make an adjustment to that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, in the same way that you can only be listening to your music so many times, same with your crowds, really. Like they're only going to love it for so long. Or if you're just repeating the same thing at least. One of the things I wanted to touch on is kind of how. Well, talk to me rather than me trying to question you sort of specifically on it. Talk to me about this kind of sort of chip hop movement, because again, correct me if I'm entirely wrong, but you're kind of
wrong.
well, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. I probably have been 5 or 6 times so far already. But are you not one of the sort of, I don't know, ambassadors for chip hop? That's probably completely the wrong word. I told you.
Ambassador. I feel like
Posh white boy here getting it wrong. As always, picking my words well. But
might actually even be in my Twitter bio or something. It might say like chip hop ambassador. Or something.
Oh well, there you go. I feel better. I've read it somewhere else. It's not my fault.
Yeah, I'm totally okay with that. I didn't invent it in any way, but I feel like when I first heard the term, it was from a group called Supercommuter. Supercommuter from Washington State made music that was hip hop based, but with chiptune underlying themes and background music that gave it like a video gamey feel. Then a person who's a good friend of mine, a guy named A Rival, I heard an album from him, which was music that was created using chiptunes or NES sounds, and so then when I heard that, I said, okay, well, this is chip hop, and people call it nerdcore or anything else, and I feel like it's only nerdcore when it's strictly about something that nerds can relate to or deal with, or when it's a very specific type of music. And it's weird to try to categorize indie rap when it should just be indie rap, But there really are more types nowadays than ever of indie rap. There's sad. I heard there's sadcore now. There's all types of noise rap. There's art rap. There's nerd rap. So there's so many different types. But yeah. So I feel like what I do with chiptune music, putting it in with hip hop, is chip hop. But I feel like it's kind of the next step of chip hop, because although I think a lot of the music sounds amazing when it comes directly out of a Nintendo, and I think that's awesome when people can do that. It's unbelievable to me. It's like another language.
Yeah, absolutely.
When people can create music that sounds really great out of a 20-year-old piece of equipment, it's amazing. But at the same time, there are new technological advances, as far as EQing and mastering and the more overall bassy feel of hip hop that can't be created by a Nintendo. So,
yeah, absolutely. It doesn't quite have the same reproduction.
Right. So if you're playing on a big speaker and it's something you created on a Game Boy, if you don't know the current mastering techniques, or if you're not necessarily really giving it a lot of time and effort, you can't create something that will sound good on a big system, And so, therefore, I add things to what I do. I might use a general kick drum that might come from a live drum kit, but put that on top of chiptune music in order to give it that same kick, that same feel of any other type of hip hop music that you might hear. So that's what the difference, or I'd say the next step in chip hop or whatever it is that I do, is just applying some of today's production techniques to the root, which is a very simple but complex series of sounds coming out of a tracker or an NES based sound system. And sometimes I don't just use NES. So sometimes it might be a Super Nintendo theme or 16-bit or a Genesis theme or PlayStation, for example. You know, like with Black Materia, I don't know if you could call that chip hop. I mean, it's not based on the
Well,
chip
it's on
at
chip
all.
tune, yeah, I guess.
It's not chiptune. So therefore, I'd be told anyone calling that nerdcore or anything because it's not necessarily chiptune. So I feel like taking a title and kind of embracing it can be great, but at the same time, it can be very limiting. So because what I do might not always be from an 8-bit system, and that was why I thought keeping two names was a good idea in the beginning. Turned out it's a bad idea, but I wanted to keep two names because MegaRan would be the guy who did chiptune things, and Random would be the guy who didn't do chiptune things. But
I mean, sorry, go on.
I don't know if that's feasible because then people have a hard time finding you, and they have a hard time finding your music. If you're trying to tour, you tour as Random and then tour as MegaRan. Like I feel like that could be counterproductive, and so it's something that I've learned. But again, I'm learning on the fly. I've never had like management or consultants or cool things like that helping me out with what I do. It's always just been me trying and failing at things.
Well, it's a learning process, right?
And yeah, as I try and I fail, then I learn for the next release. And that's really what it's been. This is one big game of trial and error. And now I feel like I'm learning a lot more, which will streamline the process and make things a little easier, faster, and smoother. So that is the 2014 and beyond approach to things. Dude, I'm idle. How can I unidle myself?
I think it's in your escape menu somewhere.
Okay. It says question mark press to play, but I'm pressing the question mark and it's not working.
I'm not sure. I think you didn't know. Pass. I don't know. I'm pretty sure it's in the.
Looking at my buttons, and then when I came back, I was idle, and I've been idle ever since. That's weird.
Yeah, I think it's in the escape menu somewhere. I'm not sure exactly where.
Okay.
But yeah, what I was going to say is, I don't think a genre should be quite as defining as anything. She was saying you couldn't quite class Black Materia as chip hop or whatever, but then at the same time, I think if you consider indie, well, how many indie bands are indie anymore? They're not independent. They've got decent record labels behind them.
That's true.
Whatever else, what's in a name really? It's a style of music, or something that evokes a certain style. So, it kind of falls within it, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, it's a bit of an odd one. Losing my train of thought now. Oh god. Well done. One of my friends has decided to fall off one of the higher platforms. Well played. So, what were we going to mention? Well, kill this bit. I'll be able to give off a thought to it. So, yes, what I was going to do actually, after I've killed this zombie and hopefully we can get out of here, was to talk a bit more about your new work. So obviously you said you would kind of put it more into the Random ballpark, but it's kind of you trying to merge the two together. And what I'm actually going to do, with your permission, I'm not sure if it's only okay with me doing it, but I was going to give people kind of a bit of a quick listen to some of the things they might hear on that tour.
Absolutely.
Alongside with the previous trap album as well. I'm just going to whack it on random and let it kind of do its own thing and bounce between. To give you guys an idea of where I suppose where you're coming from with how it's combining or how you've tried to combine those sort of two aspects of yourself together, you know. So I've just worked on Give Me What I Want at the moment. So yeah, tell me about. Obviously, you said you've got quite a lot, or you've had quite a lot of time away from touring, a lot of time at home to write the new material. What pushed you towards some of the tracks in your new album? What were your kind of inspirations around that?
Well, reading, generally is my inspiration for everything. And I've just finished a book that I really love called Ready Player One.
Oh
Um,
yes.
yeah, and it's such a great book. I still have it right here by Ernest Cline. It's amazing, and I felt like it was inspiring to me in a way where, not that I wanted to try to create a world, but there were so many themes within that book that I thought were interesting enough to explore, even in music. So just going through that and just thinking differently about some everyday things and about the future just led to me writing some new material and just getting into more storytelling. And those are my favorite songs when I tell a story, and they seem to be other people's favorites of mine as well. So I did a lot of storytelling on this new project, and it was actually thanks to reading that book. So I have to thank Mr. Klein for that. Just allowing me to think differently about some things and look at things in a new way. Just being away from teaching, being home and not teaching, not being around students is weird to me. So that also gives me a lot of time to think, but it also made me kind of miss teaching. So in my spare time, I would do some mentoring to some youth in my neighborhood, and so that also inspired me. And the same old things like video games and other stuff. Of course, that's very inspiring. So started playing Xbox, and I started Watch Dogs the other day.
Oh yeah.
And it's a cool game. And so yeah, I think just in general, just being at home, missing and thinking about the classroom experience and teaching, and then reading books. That's really what inspired the new album. I have, gosh, if I can get into a little bit of detail, I have like I said, there's 3 projects worth of material that I've done. I always write in concepts, like everything's a conceptual album. It's never just a rap song. It's always something a little deeper than that. So I have managed to create a couple different albums that all have different moods to them. There's one called Wouldn't Miss It for the World, which I actually think will be the album that comes out with what the heck is the name of that song? Oh, Infinite Lives. That'll have Infinite Lives on it. That'll be that album. And I feel like it's gonna come very soon. I just don't know when. I want to get it to the point where I'm absolutely super excited about it. And once I'm super excited about the album, I will go. And once I go, it'll be a really, really fun experience. I think it's going to be something that everybody enjoys. But it's a little more, I guess, not as happy and hopeful as the rest of my albums typically are. Which is weird for me because I'm always the super positive guy, and people are like, "Yeah, I love how you're so positive." And not this time. I won't be so positive. Oh, geez, I can't find the jump button. Okay.
Yeah, it should be space by default.
No, not giving me anything. Oh, jeez. How do I get back to Idol? Okay. Wait a second. Let me look at the controls. But yeah, it's a very serious album. It's about some things that I'm more upset about than anything. So sometimes I talk about a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
And it's there's nothing here for jump. Okay. No wonder. Alright. Okay. So it's gonna give me a good chance to talk about some of those things that grind my gears.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's that. The other album is a duo album. I don't know what do they call those things? Duet? I don't know. It's a split album. Yeah, it's like that. And it's me and my good friend Storyville. who are going to be working together. Storyville he's probably most known for playing the role of Sephiroth on the Black Materia album, but he's also he's mixed and mastered for almost all my albums. He's produced Push, which is one of my favorite records. He's done a whole lot for me. So him and I, it's just a matter of time, but we finally came together and we're ready to create an album together. So together we've come up with a name for our collective, which is called the Soul Veggies. And I don't really know where that came from. It was just me putting words together. And but I think by the time the album comes out, I'll have some deep definition for it. Like, yeah,
all in good sign.
Because we're all vegetables somewhere to someone, you know. Because we haven't woken up to the ways of society, or something like that. But, you know,
deep, real deep.
Yeah, I'll have something deep ready for it by the time it comes out. But I'm really proud of the music that we've done on that. It's been really awesome stuff. It's fun. It's pretty much a full gamut of emotion, as far as from fun to like some societal stuff to some video game sounding stuff. And it's just me just experimenting a lot more with the idea or the attempt to bridge the Random and MegaRan, characters together.
Yeah.
And I don't even know if they should be bridged together, but I want to try it at least and see what'll happen.
Nice.
And once I get them together, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, who knows?
And then I can split them up again, or make them, pretend to have a beef with each other.
That's it. You can do a split with yourself. It'll be fantastic.
There we go. Yeah. But yeah, that album is pretty much done. It's just being mixed and mastered. So this is the first time that I've been able to be ahead of the curve as far as having records that are done that I like a whole lot. So the Trap 2 album is great, in my opinion. It's something that's super fun. The production on it is just impeccable. It's been something that I wanted to create for such a long time. And then when I did it, I was afraid, what people would think of it, because I've been a guy kind of, a quote unquote true school hip hop guy for a very long time, who's, very stuck in his ways of the golden era being, the pinnacle point of rap music. But having an open mind, I feel like you have to realize that, some of the things that rappers are doing today isn't all bad, and being able to accept that is the first step of growing as an artist. And I feel like a lot of my peers, a lot of people that came up when I came up, don't want to accept that, And I was just talking to a DJ yesterday who was just saying there's so many purists who believe that rap will never, be better than it was in 88 to 95, and that may even be true, but the fact is it's over,
Yeah.
So it's not going to get back to that. So either we try to make it better, or stop listening to it. Because there are guys that are making some good music. I look at hip hop kind of like professional wrestling these days. I don't know if you're a professional wrestling guy at all, but
I am.
Okay. Well, wrestling's at a good point for the most part right now, where the top guys actually can wrestle. You know what I mean? So
I don't know.
Well, most
some
of
the
them
guys. I don't know. You got
But
fucking
there are-
5-move Cena.
Well, okay, with the exception of maybe Cena, but Cena used to do a lot. But I feel like Cena's almost like the new Hogan, although I hate to admit that, but he kind of feels that way to me. But yeah, I feel like, they're at a point now where they have so much talent, in the company, where they're letting guys go that are good or talented, because they just don't have anything that they can do with them. So now they're at a point where they have more talent than they know what to do with. And I feel like that's where hip hop is too. People aren't able to. Oh wait, let me heal myself.
Yeah,
So,
sure.
Yeah, we have more talent in hip hop now than probably ever, you know. And I know Golden Age purists won't want to ever admit that, but that's kind of the way I see it. I think there's a lot of people who are very good at rapping right now, and so I'm just, you know, I'm very excited for the future, you know. And though things won't necessarily sound like they sounded in 1995, but I'm okay with that, you know, because that's how we grow and get better, and you know, and move on.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
You know, I think we have to move on, or else we'll just all be angry, bitter fans who will never
wishing for
you know,
yesterday.
yeah, we'll just be wishing for yesterday forever, and it just will not be fun at all.
Yeah,
You
that's
know?
it. You know, you
So that's
can't
what this
recreate
sounds
Will Smith over and over again. I mean, obviously the epitome of all rap
Yeah,
music ever.
you know, we can't be Will Smith. We can't. You know, Will has to, you know, get old and move on and get famous, man. Like, we can't keep wishing for Will Smith.
I'm guessing that's not what you were referring to.
Waiting for Will Smith instead of waiting for Superman. We can be waiting.
Waiting for Will Smith. That just sounds like the title of an album, if nothing else.
That might be my next album. So.
There you go. See, you heard it here first.
Oh, I'm in fire. I'm burning. Shoot.
Yeah, man. So, Chinster84 asks, is language arts considered MegaRan or random?
Wow, that's such a good question. It's kind of a tricky thing because that was at the point where I was just figuring out what to do with both of those. So it's almost like I almost tried to fool people, and it was because the album is Random presents MegaRan in language arts, and so that was even how it was titled. And it's because MegaRan is more, I would say, playful and chiptune inspired, and that album is not chiptune inspired at all. There's no chip stuff on it. But I think the playful aspect of it and the storytelling superhero aspect of that album is definitely a characteristic of MegaRan. So for that reason, I would say it's a MegaRan album. But you know, it's, you know, what's in a name? It's all me. It's all the same person, and you know, it's what's in a name, really.
Yeah.
But that's really all it came down to. But I feel like it's a good combination. It's definitely a good starter. I tell people all the time, if they're really into my video game stuff, and let's say they've only heard Black Materia or they've only heard Forever Famicom, I tell them that language arts is a good second one to go to, because it's fun. There's an underlying story throughout the whole thing, similar to Black Materia. There's a story, but and I think it's easily digestible. I'll say that.
Yeah, I'm with you. Oh, now the chat's all chatting about how they've been waiting for Will Smith for years. Oh shit, we've started something now.
Let's get that trending on Twitter.
But speaking of which, actually, one of the things I've noticed is, you know, you say, oh, you know, you're just getting to grips with this, that, and the other, but you seem to have quite a handle on quite a handle on social media as a whole, and using that as a tool to push yourself out there and get the notice and so forth. Is that something that you kind of picked up?
Yeah, definitely. But I feel like I was. Oh my, I'm in trouble. I feel like I was born at the height of social media. I feel like MegaRan itself, or Random, me as a musician, I came at a time when social media was just coming into its own. And I'm dead. There was MySpace had come out probably right when I started making music. MySpace was the bee's knees, and a lot of my friends, you know, a lot of people don't remember MySpace, but you know, we make fun of it now as a joke. But MySpace,
have you seen it? Have you seen it recently?
Well, it's
What have they
it's
done?
pretty crazy. I don't know what they've done to it. It doesn't look like anything I remember. But it's that was the era that I came up in. So I've grown up in social media, I'd say, because I was able to create, music and and I learned how to promote it very quickly through MySpace. I did a lot of collaborations through MySpace. A lot of my friends got record deals through MySpace.
It was the place to go for it at that time, though. That was how you got noticed, almost.
It absolutely was, and I mean, it made things so easy. I would say, not necessarily easy, but much easier. Because you were able to reach anybody with the click of a button because the entire world was listening, and so growing up in that, and just learning how to, cultivate fan bases and audiences, and just be appealing and engaging, doing MySpace blogs and bulletins and things, and again, seeing what worked and what didn't. Mm-hmm. That's what taught me how to use social media, and ever since then, I've been, I think, on top of, or at least what I considered on top of social media. One thing I probably haven't mastered is YouTube as a medium for social media stuff. And I feel like, and I've always every year set a bit of a almost like a resolution to up my video game and my video content, mm-hmm. and because I feel like that's the next thing that I have to get to a point where I feel super comfortable with it. But yeah, thanks to MySpace, I learned how to do pretty much everything I needed to do for, as far as social media went. Then along came Facebook. I really don't like Facebook. I'm not a big fan of it, but I do see it as a necessary evil. I feel like if I wasn't a musician, I would not have a Facebook page because I'd probably wind up, my girlfriend would hate me, or something. Like, I just feel like it's just a recipe for disaster. Facebook is just not. I don't know. There's just a lot of shadiness going on there.
Yeah.
And I don't really dig it outside of being, it being where the entire world is, mm-hmm. And so yeah, you gotta roll with the punches. And Twitter has just been, great. I think I just learned early, to wrap up that question. I've learned very early on in my music career because it was right there at the very beginning, and this is at its height, when MySpace was doing really well. And that's what taught me everything I needed to know about social media. I've even actually interviewed for a couple of jobs as social media coordinators for different video game companies or corporate entities. And that's been interesting. I wasn't able to. I got interviewed for a job at 2K Sports doing that. And this is one of the little known MegaRan facts. Is that was right before I was about to tour with MC Chris. And so I had three choices. I had been offered a teaching job at college level. I'd been offered a social media coordinator job at 2K Sports, and I'd been offered a 2-month tour. So what do you do? So
too many choices.
So I had plenty of choices. So at that point, I had already done teaching. I was like, okay, I'm done with that. At least for now. I want to try something else. And so it led to me taking the tour, which was the best thing I could have ever done. The MC Chris tour is probably what made me, a full-time musician, and it was the best thing I could have done. But when I interviewed with 2K Sports, it was hilarious because the person I interviewed with was like, "Hey, did you know you have a Wikipedia page?" And I'm like, "Oh, yeah, I think someone made that a few years ago." She's like, "Okay, you're definitely the first applicant I've ever had that had a Wikipedia page."
Nice.
And she's like, "This is going to be interesting. So I don't really have to ask you anything. I can just ask you how accurate this page is." And so yeah, she's like, so you're kind of a big deal, and I'm like, no, I'm definitely not a big deal. And she's like, I don't know, it looks like you're kind of a big deal here. It's like, well, you can't believe everything you read. But then she offered me the position, and unfortunately, it was an on-site position, and I'd have to go to San Francisco. Now, San Francisco is a little far from me, and I don't know how much you know about San Francisco, but it's a very expensive place. Probably might be the most expensive city in the U.S. Behind New York, slightly. And what they were paying just was not going to be enough to live there. And so, oh my.
That just happened.
Oh, wow. Okay, so I'm kind of getting used to this thing. I never thought I'd be a keyboard and mouse guy.
There you go, see? That's it.
Oh, jeez.
You can sell the Xbox One now, you're sorted.
Yeah, I'm sold. I'm done. Xbox One.
Xbox off.
So, but yeah, I unfortunately could not, on what they were paying, they just weren't paying enough. I feel like social media, maybe they don't consider it to be a very important job, but I sure do. I mean, social media saves me every single day. And, it's something that without it, because of this society that we're in, if you're not on social media, you don't exist. And it's a really weird thing, and I wish it wasn't like that. But, it's an adjustment that people have to make. And again, a lot of my friends get weird about it. Like, I don't want to share my life story. I don't want to tweet when I'm on the toilet or things like that. I'm like, well, just don't say that. Like, fine, I don't want to know when you're on the toilet. Just don't say it. Or when you're arguing with your girlfriend or something. I mean, you just don't have to put your personal life into social media. And I realized that I'm probably one of the only people I know who just managed to keep it, positive. And I just learned some really good lessons from a lot of social media guys. I gotta thank a guy named Dave Storm, who's probably the biggest hip hop guy on YouTube. He's got like millions of subscribers. And I played a show with him in Phoenix. And the one thing he told me was, hey, you got to get your YouTube game up. You got to get your channel partnered, and but he was like, most importantly, be yourself.
Yeah.
And because what people are gonna begin to like is you and who you are. Not what you can do for them. You need people to appreciate you for who you are and your unique spin and your unique flaws and your unique things. And so he said the best advice he was ever given was, don't ever let whatever's going on in your real life affect how you broadcast or what you create. Because you're going to be having the worst day, but when it's time to hit the camera, you better smile and, wear some bright clothes and get over it,
Put on a performance.
And that was definitely some of the best advice I could have gotten. He was just saying, man, I have really bad days, but unfortunately, hey, the show must go on. I have to create, and therefore, if you have a level of dedication to what you do, then you better shake it off, And that's really that was the best advice I could have got.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you'll tend to notice that. Even like the social media campaigns that have got the most sort of personality injected into them are the ones that tend to be the most successful, and that's because people want that human sort of touch. They want to know that that there's a human sat on the other side of the keyboard there, and there's a bit of life to it rather than just a set of predefined messages being thrown out.
Absolutely. I remember a lot of musicians used to have pretty canned Twitter, and Facebook messages, and then I think someone realized that wasn't a good idea, know. And so now I think a lot of musicians have begun taking over their social media because you have to. I think it's just you need personality, and everyone doesn't have it. Everyone I know isn't funny, but at the same time, you have to just, and it doesn't have to be funny. Just things that you go through on an everyday basis that you know that someone else can relate to. That could be the best tweet of your life. and that's really the truth to it. Oh, I'm incapacitated. But yeah, I think just personality is definitely the best thing that people can bring to social media. Mm-hmm. And it's not for everybody, but it's been a lifesaver for me, man. I try to stay engaged. I mean, and it's funny because I get messages all the time from people like, you talk to me on Twitter, and none of my favorite musicians do that. This is so cool, and just a favorite could just make someone's day. And
absolutely,
and it doesn't take much effort. It's just a matter of just doing something for somebody that would have been really cool if someone did it for you, and that's really all. Really, that's like probably my mission statement, if there is one in random, is just do for people what it would be really awesome if someone did for you, because it may not be what people have done for me, but it's something that I thought, man, if someone did that, that would be really cool. Mm-hmm. And that's it. That's all. There's no gimmick or marketing scheme or plan behind what I do. It's just me, trial and error, and me trying to do something for somebody that I wished someone did for me when I was trying to come up, or when I needed a friend or a hero or something like that. That's it. Right. That's a good quote.
Yeah, that's it. That's a soundbite.
Oh man. Hey, what's going on?
Okay, sorry, I was just saving Will there. But yeah, it's I can completely agree with that sentiment. That's, I suppose, if I was in a position to make someone's day in the same way, then I probably would do much the same myself.
Yeah, and that's really that's all I do. That's really my mission, is to just try to make things a little easier, a little better for people who need some encouragement, mm-hmm. because I know what it's like to not have that encouragement, and it's not, it's the worst feeling in the world. I always say I never had mentors. I never had, anyone to tell me like, hey, you're doing this wrong. You should probably, not do that,
Yeah.
I've never had that. So therefore, everything I've ever done has been trial and error. And so having that person there to tell you, hey, you're doing well, kid, or something like that.
Yeah.
It can go a really long way.
Absolutely.
I think when this music thing is over for me, I'm going to get into like consulting or something. I'll be a motivational speaker or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, something to do with positivity anyway.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I feel like, that was the one, I guess the best thing that teaching taught me is, is that positive feedback and positive reinforcement really works. Mm-hmm. You tell a kid he's doing a good job, if he's just trying, he doesn't think he knows the answer, but he's trying, and if you tell him you appreciate it, it can go a really long way.
Absolutely. So, I mean, branching off of that, have you found that social media has opened any doors for you? Like, I mean, obviously, popularity is its own thing, and social media is kind of the means to the end there. But have you noticed any hookups or anything that you've kind of landed into?
I got free Red Bull from Twitter.
Oh shit, that's worth it on its own. I should stick at it. Free energy drinks are always good in my books.
Yeah, man, I got free Red Bull. I was I don't know what I tweeted about. I just maybe tweeted that I was having a really long day or something, and I think Red Bull responded like, "Sounds like you need a boost. Click here for some free Red Bull." And I was like, "This sounds like spam."
Yeah.
And so, but I went and checked it, and they just asked for my address, and they sent me a free case of Red Bull.
Nice.
And I thought that was pretty cool, but outside of that, I mean, every day is an opportunity, a hookup. hookup, or a potential thing like that. But that's the one that's immediately on my mind. But
yeah, no doubt. I mean, that's
it's like, man, something cool like that. Thanks. But
yeah.
but yeah, I've met people. I mean, the world is so small through social media, and that's the one thing I learned, and I realized that if we weren't doing that, or if I wasn't on social media, I'd have missed out on so much stuff, because there's people on there who wouldn't have known about me. I made a song about zombies ate my neighbors, and then got an email the same day from a director who's trying to greenlight a zombies ate my neighbors movie.
Oh, wow.
Who's wants to use my song in the soundtrack, and things like that. So yeah, I mean, things happen really quickly on social media, and it's just a mention of something can change everything,
Yeah, absolutely. Kind of like that spark, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's just countless experiences just like that, where I say something and people are like, "Oh, really? You need that? Well, it just so happens I have that," and
Yeah, that's it.
boom, that's just how it works.
There's a first aid kit back here, by the way.
Oh shoot. Okay.
But yeah, so what have you kind of come across? Because one of the things I've really noticed is you've worked with like anyone in like this kind of niche, I suppose you would call it, like the kind of gamey, geeky, nerdcore, chip tune sort of area. I mean, you've got Brental Floss, you've got, like people like D&D Sluggers, you've got there's so many people. Richie Branson, you've worked with like everyone that I've kind of come across in some other function in that area. Like, is it just because you work in the same area, you've kind of bumped into each other, or what's kind of brought you together in all those circumstances?
Yeah, I'd say that's usually it. We just kind of run in the same circles. And when we run together, or we see each other at events, we're always like, hey, you need to work together. Or someone will mention it on Twitter. That's usually how it happens. Someone will say, hey, I would love to hear so-and-so with so-and-so. And then, boom, that's how it happens.
And there it goes.
And, it gets started from Twitter. So I think I mainly want to, I would say that it turns out from, just from hanging out, and we played so many of the same venues and the same events over and over again that we wound up in, in contact, and therefore it's like, hey, let's work together, and we have so much in common, and for that reason, and I think, again, sometimes I look at it as sometimes a guy might need a boost, just like I needed a boost, or a boost of legitimacy, or, I'll say. And that's usually what can happen from working with someone. So I don't mind doing that for somebody because, MC Chris and Frontalot and Lars have done that for me. So therefore, that's usually, that's another thing. It's like, hey, if someone's doing something, they're doing really well at it, I wanna help them out. So yeah, let's work together. If I see them working hard, they're talented, and we both stand for the same thing, so it's like, why not?
What's like?
Absolutely, it's always a win-win.
Absolutely, yeah, it makes sense. I guess so. I mean, have you got any others? So I know you're working on a few different projects, but have you got anyone kind of you got your eye on anyone to kind of hook up with in the near future, or is that kind of all on the wraps, or what were you thinking along those lines?
Oh, as far as like collaborations?
Yeah, because I mean, I think hardly an album goes by where there isn't, or where you haven't had one somewhere. So I'm just kind of curious. Have you got any other names about to pop out of the woodwork with it?
Gosh, let me think. There's probably nobody that that I'd say in the nerd community that I haven't worked with yet. That is, there are some people I want to, and I'm just gonna throw those names out to the universe. I want to work with the Protomen really badly. I want to do something else with the Megas real soon. I'd love to work with the One Ups. there's so many other guys. There's this guy named Kadesh Flow. Him and I are working on some new stuff together. But yeah, there's not a lot of people, like honestly, that I haven't worked with that that are on my list. But I'd say the Protomen are very high on my list. We started something actually. I don't know. I don't think anybody even knows about this, but we started a project, or at least an idea, and then things just got crazy with everyone's tour schedules being nuts, and we never got a chance to finish it. So maybe one of these days, we can get into it and finish it up.
When you got a spare 20 minutes,
And I mean, those guys, there's so many of them and they're always on the go. So, in situations like that, you just have to be completely ready. Like you show up with, you give them a song, you give them, an idea, maybe even give them a couple of starting lyrics or concepts, and then you go and you say, hey, I need this back by the end of the week. Like you set a very specific date and schedule on it and try to make it happen. Right now, those guys are on Warped Tour. They're out there killing it every night. And so I got a chance to see them a couple weeks ago, and that was a lot of fun. But it was so weird seeing them in that environment, because normally their shows are just these packed clubs, these sweaty clubs that are packed and you just can't move, and everybody's pumping their fists and going nuts. But at Warped Tour, there's 3/4 of the crowd looking at it like, what the heck is this? and then the other 1/4 are super into it, pumping their fists, going nuts. So it's really fun to watch that. But by the end of it, a lot of people were out there pumping their fists as well. So I think it's it's a great opportunity to get out there and play for a whole different, audience. Even if half of them are saying, what the hell am I doing? But I think it's awesome. That's really the best way of building fans and relationships.
Yeah, absolutely.
Gotta put yourself out there, a little bit to some criticism. You can't just play for nerds all the time. If you play, we talked about MagFest. If I only played MagFest, I would think that I'm the greatest thing since sliced bread. Because the MagFest shows are consistently my best shows, because it's a huge conglomerate of everyone who likes me, or everyone who likes nerd music or likes what I do.
Yeah.
They wait for that event to come out. However, I played down the street at a place called the Velvet Lounge in Washington, D.C., and 15 people show. I don't think I'm so great anymore. But,
kind of reassess.
If I only played PAX, MagFest, and those types of events, I would have such a huge head, because I would think I'm a rock star. Because at those events you are a rock star. But that's not what's going to take you to the next level. Preaching to the choir or playing to your number one fan base. It's not going to get you new listeners.
Yeah,
so that's why a show or an event like Warped Tour is great for new artists or even older artists, because you get to play in front of some new kids and have a good time. And although half of them may look at you like this is stupid, what is this? You can have an opportunity to win new fans over, and that I love. Like, I love winning over people. I think and I try to invite people out to shows, more so than explain what I do, because I always say I can show you better than I can tell you, especially with what I do. I feel like it's so interactive and it's so high energy that it's something that you have to be there. You got to see it to understand it. Even playing it on the record, I don't think it is as effective as seeing it. And luckily, you'll get to see it in September when I'm out in London.
In fact, yeah, so I bought my tickets today. As soon as you posted it up, I was like, oh shit, yeah, I got paid.
Nice. Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm really excited. It's my first headlining gig in London, outside of a convention or things like that. But I'm really excited. It's gonna be a great time. Like, I got some great things planned. My friend K Murdoch's gonna be there. Yeah, it's gonna be awesome.
Yeah, so I'll definitely be hanging out at that one. I'm trying to get the other people that are in the game to come as well. Hint, fucking hint.
That's right. You guys get out there too.
Yeah, see, you heard it from the man himself. Like he knows about you now, and if you don't come,
Oh yeah, I'll be looking for
disappointed.
you. I'm gonna ask like, hey, did they come? And if they say no, I'll be so upset.
See, look, you're gonna upset the man now.
Didn't like me when I'm
But no, they live a bit further out. Like I live in London, they live a bit further out. So we'll see what we can do. We'll see how we can work with it.
I'm working on booking some other shows out there. Right now I have Cambridge and Manchester booked, and so I'm still working on some more. We're trying to fill up about 2 weeks, or at least a week and a half of adventures out there in jolly old England.
Very
So it'll
quaint
be
place.
fun.
Yeah, well, I'm sure there's, I'm sure a whole bunch of venues actually would love to have you over here. I think you're off the top of my head, so we may talk later.
I'll definitely chat you up about some of them, some other places too. So yeah,
yeah, mind that witch right there.
I saw.
I knew you tripped over the poor girl. So, I mean, I suppose to take it back to kind of our core focus, us being Senshudo, it's we're kind of a gaming community and so forth. So, for yourself,
gaming, I don't play games.
yeah,
What is this?
shit, really, it's for children, right? But for yourself, is there anything that's really got you hyped up? I mean, we had E3 a very short while back. Is there anything in the pipeline that's making you go, oh shit, like, I need to get hold of that?
Honestly, yeah. But everything's so far ahead though in the future.
Yeah, it's all October time, really, isn't it?
Yeah, or next year. I mean, I'm excited about Smash Brothers.
Oh yes.
That's coming for 3DS, which I'm excited about. I don't own any Nintendo systems besides the 3DS, so I'm always glad to hear when they're bringing something good out for that. Speaking of, I just got Shovel Knight, which was a Kickstarted game.
Yes. Funnily enough, Chance that's in this game at the moment was playing it just before we started here. So
yeah.
Yeah.
I put in an hour on it last night, and I had a good time. I really enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to playing more. That's going to be my game of choice for the road when this tour starts. I'll be playing that up like crazy. So I'm looking forward to getting into it a little more. I love the music. I love the style and the vibe of the game. It's really fun. So yeah, I'm digging that.
Shovel Knight digging it.
Man, I think after this, after E3, I'm really excited enough to commit to a PS4.
I'll agree with that.
Certainly will. I mean, there's so much good stuff I saw, but mainly the news of Uncharted is what got me ready. I was like, okay, that was really all I needed to see. Been a huge Uncharted fan for the longest, and so that's like probably my favorite series of this generation. And that and BioShock probably, and I'm really looking forward to a new one. So that got me really excited. All my friends are talking about Destiny. I was on the road during the beta. I couldn't play it, so man, I didn't have PS4. So I didn't even get a chance to play it. I watched some friends' video, and it looks really great. So I'm excited about that. Did you get a chance to play it or?
No, I've seen some of it. Like some of my friends have casted it. Looks cool as hell. Some of my guys got a chance to get some hands-on time a bit at E3 as well. So
okay.
Yeah, they were rating it, but I don't know.
Yeah,
it's not a must-have for me, but I can see me getting it eventually.
Yeah, I think if all my friends do, I'll have to. So
that's it. It's all about the multiplayer crowd, really. Who you're gonna get to play with.
And I'm so not a multiplayer gamer. Like this might be the first time I've played multiplayer in a long time. I've played some Dead Rising multiplayer, but I like to try to learn the game alone. because before I start, playing with people, and I feel like I don't know, people are so impatient, and I can remember those days on like Halo and other games, like trying to jump on into multiplayer games and really like stinking it up and having people like just curse me out. Like, get off the game. Like, I don't want you on my team.
Sell your console. What are you doing?
Like, I get really, like, people just get really angry. And I'm like, okay, I thought we were here to have fun, first of all. Second, like, come on. Like, how am I supposed to get good if I can't, if I can't get some time in?
Yeah, full game in,
Yeah, it's crazy. So, and then I get tired of, I take so long to finish games just because of my schedule and all the things I'm doing, that by the time I like to play a solo campaign and then go online, but then by the time I get online, it's too late and I completely suck and everybody's level 80 and so they destroy me, so that's always what happens to me.
Yeah.
So I don't do too much multiplayer gaming, like, at all. Someone jumped into my Dead Rising game, and I was like, "What are you doing here?
You're ruining it.
Get out of here!" Same thing with what was it? Borderlands 2. I was like, somebody just jumped in. I'm like, "Come on, man!"
Don't you see I've got something going here? Come on!
But people jumped in and they helped me out, though. That was cool. Some guy came in and he was really nice. He dropped like this really, really great weapon for me and then let me pick it up. that was cool. But yeah, I'm like, I just want to learn this game. Like, I don't want to sit around and slow your team down.
Well, yeah.
I just want to play sometimes.
Yeah, you just want to get on with it and do your thing,
Right.
Yeah. I think we're slowly getting a crowd coming along to the September gig now. A few people are inquiring about it in the chat,
nice.
so hopefully we'll drag a few people along to the venue. It's not one I've been to before, actually, so it'll be interesting.
No,
to
I've
see
heard from MC Lars that it's a really nice venue. And we're still working on getting opening acts for that. Like, I want to get some really good locals on there.
Yeah, I saw that. Like, so far, you kind of just got guests penciled in.
Yes, we're keeping that a secret until we finish up. But
keeping that a secret until you book them.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair enough. It makes sense. Because interestingly, you're going to have around that time of the year, you're actually going to have Eurogamer, which is kind of our biggest festival in the UK, like our biggest gaming expo in the UK.
Eurogamer. All right, I'm gonna have to look up some info on that.
They don't. So far, they haven't done anything along the lines of performances sort of stuff. But hey, you never know.
Yeah, you never know. I mean, I wouldn't mind even doing even at events that there aren't performances or people aren't okay with that. I do like panels. I'll MC an event or something cool like that. Or just set up a merch table and just hang out.
Yeah, absolutely. So that could be cool. That's like towards the end of September. So whether it quite fit into things, I don't know. Definitely worth looking at. I think I've kind of covered the main stuff that I really wanted to get across and get the information out. If you want to kind of run down your upcoming gigs, and while actually, or your upcoming gigs, like the dates on your tour and the locations and so forth. What I'll actually do once we finish this, because I am not doing it in the middle of this.
I won't be able to do that.
Or towards the end, we'll run through. We'll run through where you're going to be and what you're going to be. Well, we know what you're going to be doing. It's fairly evident. Kind of.
Oh, I'm going to be reading to them. Ready to
your memoirs,
I saw Dave
when I was a boy.
He just grabbed a book from the crowd and started reading it. Maybe I'll do that.
This evening's reading will be War and Peace.
Oh jeez, I'm in trouble.
Yeah, I'm trying to cover you with my sniper.
Man. But yeah, if you
Yeah,
can
we'll cover over that, and what I'll do, I'll also I'll post in the link for a place to pick up tickets. I believe there's one synchronized? No, not synchronized at all. Centralized place that you can grab them from.
If you go to megaran.com/shows,
there we go.
it will have all the dates right there, even stuff that I haven't quite announced yet. But yeah, that's the place to go for that, and it has links, usually like a buy ticket link there. So, but yeah, man, I really hope to see you guys in full force out in London. That'll be awesome.
Yeah, well, I'll try and grab as many of us together as possible, because honestly, if you roll down with a bunch of friends, it's always good fun as well. So we'll definitely try and represent, get the UK arm of the Senshudo bunch across as well, because it's always good. Try and show some love. But yeah, we'll get all that information out there, and for those watching this on time delay, or YouTube as it's also known, that information will be in the beloved box below, which would be good. Oh, that was another thing I was going to ask, while we're kind of massacring the last bunch here as well. Have you really encountered Twitch that much before? Because obviously it's becoming a larger force as far as like games broadcasting is concerned.
Yes.
Is it something you've really kind of ventured into before?
A little bit. There's the I don't know if you're familiar with Video Game Championship Wrestling.
I am not. No.
Oh, you gotta check it out. VGCW. It's and they broadcast it on Twitch, and they just take a I don't remember which wrestling game they use, maybe WWE 13 or something, and what they do is create a bunch of video game characters, and just create an entire storyline around them, and so that was my first experience with it. They had me as a guest one time, they have Barrett Wallace as a character on there.
Yeah.
And they use Avalanche as his theme song.
Nice.
And so for the longest time on my YouTube comments, I would see people talk about like Barrett's such a jobber and things like that. And I'm like, what are they talking about? And
what's happened while I've been away?
So I started checking in on it, and I was really into it. And so they made me they made me a special guest host one day on there, and it was awesome. So that was my first experience with Twitch, and but now with the new systems, having like Twitch right on there, I think I'm gonna get into it. I just started talking about it. I just didn't think anyone would watch, but I'm gonna start getting into broadcasting performances or just me playing games, while I'm home. So I mean, maybe I will be surprised, but I don't get the impression that anyone would want to see me fumble around on a video game.
Nope. But shit, they watch me do that most days of the week, and anyone in chat will attest to that. I'm definitely not any MLG fucking super pro business. Okay. No, not at all. Right. You'd be surprised. It's more about the personality than anything else.
Yeah, I mean, I want to try it. So. And now that it's so much easier, I almost considered buying. I think you had to buy some kind of box or whatever to stream something. I don't know. It's back in the day, I guess, but I considered buying something like that just so that I could start streaming things. And but I never did it. And I mentioned something on Facebook like, would you guys watch if I decided to just stream me playing games? And they're like, yeah, I'd watch, I think people just say that because they have to. But, it's on my page. Like, who would say, no, I'm not, I would never watch. But hopefully, and I think I will do it. I'm going to, after this tour, when I'm home, because I'll be home again, so I'll be able to get some gaming in. And yeah, I'm going to do some streaming. And it's going to be fun.
Well, I'm sure we'd be more than happy to support you here at Senshudo, being a games casting community and all that jazz. But no, we'll help you get set up and shit. Like, we'll make something of this. kind of watch this space. That I'm sure we'll get something running at some point soon.
Oh, absolutely.
Or well, once you're back home from the grand tour. But,
I'm gonna work on it.
I think that's me left for deaded out for the evening.
Yeah.
Is there anything that I haven't asked you that you think, oh, god damn, this guy sucks at talking to people? I really wish he'd asked me this question so I could throw out this answer. Is there, any other nuggets of information that?
No, I actually think you did really well. Yeah, there's nothing else I need to add. We talked about everything. We talked about the tour. We talked about the new music. We talked about the old music. We pretty much hit it all. Yeah, I'm really happy with the way that went.
Yeah, and that's I've just dropped the old link in the chat there. So that's to book up the shows for in the future. So we've got. So you'll be back in Austin, Texas, August 16th is the answer. So
absolutely,
keep your eye on that one.
Classic Games Fest. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah,
it's actually going to be the culmination of a tour that I'll be starting, but I can't really say too much about it. But it'll be a really fun tour starting a week before that in Orlando. Mm-hmm.
Orlando, okay, cool. Oh, is that? Oh yeah, that's it. And then obviously you're over jolly old England. Back around the middle of September as well. So Cambridge, London, Manchester there as well. So lots of places to catch this lovely chap live. Let me stick your Twitter in there in case any of our guys don't already have you. They should if they're halfway sensible, but you never know. But that's it's been awesome talking to you though. For someone that I've kind of come across your music fairly late in the game, I would say. I'd say it's fairly fair to say. It's been the last year or so. To shooting you across a message on Twitter to being set here, I can quite safely say that you're a chill guy, and I'm very much looking forward to catching up with you again in September. Maybe I may have to somehow twist your arm into accepting a drink or something around that time as well. So. Yeah,
awesome. I take Bulmer's cider.
Bulmer's cider. Oh, man of good taste. I'm gonna have to join.
Yeah.
But yeah, other than that, thank you very much for dropping by. Thank you also to my cohorts, Swept Squash and Chancellor Stu and Will, for kind of carrying us through those levels as well, because I think we needed the help. I think we would have been lost otherwise doing the same level over and over again. But yeah, other than that, do follow the channel if you aren't already. It's very much appreciated. We're gonna. Me personally, I'm gonna start trying to do more things like this more often because I've not noticed anyone doing this sort of thing before, and I think it's about time people start doing it. So, but yeah, other than that, thank you very much for dropping by, guys, and have a good night. Sirrah.